Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, happy Monday. It's the start of a new month.
A new month, a new week. Awesome.
And I'm going to go away from the National Calendar Day and mark an anniversary today. Do you know what happened 40 years ago today? A huge event that changed our lives forever.
Well, I know you're older than 40, so it wasn't your birthday.
Oh, my watch even tried to chime in.
40 years ago.
August 2nd, 1981. A day that will live in history. The first day of MTV. The first video killed the radio star.
That was the first video on MTV? I thought it was Thriller. Huh.
Nope. Thriller came a couple years later, but I was going to say, without MTV, Thriller would be nothing because we wouldn't see the dancing.
Well,
it's after
somebody
midnight.
Somebody would have seen Michael Jackson on stage, and I think he probably would have done some of the same moves, and so it probably...
Perhaps. We also wouldn't had, who was it, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing?
Yeah. It's interesting the songs you pick out of all of that. Fascinating. So this is when MTV was born, 40 years ago. Huh?
40 years ago. I'm actually, if you're subscribed to our newsletter, you will find out later today. I'm going to talk about what that means for organizations and entrepreneurs, because I think there's some real lessons from MTV that we can take. How's that for turning something fun into something serious?
Look at that transition. If I had said that, you'd be like, I see what you did there. I have one as well. How about this?
Oh, go ahead.
So you're talking about anniversaries. So I'll add an anniversary as well, although I don't know how many years. You know, our good friend Frank,
yes,
who sang at the end of your happy birthday song that we did for you, who regularly comes on and greets both of us.
With Tom.
Correct.
Bob. Yes.
Today is his birthday.
Oh, well, there you go. Happy birthday, Frank.
So I thought it would be appropriate. Frank! All right, now that we've got all that out of the way.
That's right. We have a new topic this month, Tom.
We definitely do. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? Because I think we kind of started this a couple months ago. And, I think people who were paying any attention last month would have known we were talking about branding. And maybe if they were paying attention the month before that, I won't do it and ask you what it was.
As soon as you said paying attention, you lost me.
Well, yeah. Well, it's time management. So we did a whole month, things around time management. Then we did it about branding. So this month, our general topic for the month is rekindling relationships, which, as we were discussing beforehand, I think is a good month for that. There's a lot of opportunities for that in a different way. We've had relationships via Zoom for the last 16 months. And I think over the last month or so, people have gotten together in person. And so they are rekindling those relationships, whether that's in person for a business networking event, whether it's for just an individual meeting, whether it's a business meeting, whether it's a board meeting, or, they just started to reconnect. And once Labor Day comes around, everyone will rekindle some relationships based on, okay, we were away for the summer, school start again, college and universities kick back up. The business mode changes a little bit for some. So I think it's a good month for us to be out in front to talk about how we can help you as you rekindle your relationships. So this week, it's about following up. And of course, because it's Monday, for anyone who pays a little bit of attention, we're going to talk a little bit about why it matters. And so as we go through this conversation about follow-up and why it matters, please feel free to put your comments in, because we know that helps and adds value to what we're trying to do. At the end of our show, Bob and I will each offer our one thing. And we hope that you will offer that one thing as well, your one thing, so that it will help someone else figure out how to take their next steps. So, Bob.
No, I'm ready.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready. The thing about following up is it's absolutely vital, because the odds of someone choosing to work with you the first time they meet you are pretty slim and none. The average is 5 touches. But when they did the research on how many times you have to interact with someone before they want to work with you, 5 was the average. In many cases, it went to 10 or 12 touches. A touch being a phone call, a text, an email, meeting them at a conference, seeing them around town, whatever. Any time that you become top of mind to the person. So think about that. I know for a fact that if I talk to someone 5 times, the odds of them being more aware of what I do and either wanting to work with me or referring me to someone else go up dramatically. And I think that's a thought process that we tend not to go through. We tend to think of it as, well, I met them. I explained to them what they do. They know me. But the reality is they may not know you and they may not understand. And as you deepen that relationship and get deep and start to know each other a little better, you start to ask different questions. You and I saw each other very frequently for a little while because we were in the same workspace and we got to know each other there. But it wasn't until we started to have coffee together, just the two of us without all the distractions, that we really started to see it's like, wow, this guy, I don't know what it is, but whenever I'm around this guy, I leave and I feel better about what I'm doing. He always has a great piece of advice, or he's just someone I want to spend time with. It took us, how many times did we interact, Tom, before we finally committed to doing something together? I'm going to bet close to 20.
Oh, easy.
Easily. And keep in mind, for you and me, we actually were looking for ways to work together.
Correct. Could never figure it out.
So if you think about it that way, here we are, 2 guys who really liked each other, saw business opportunity. Okay, I liked you. You didn't like me. Saw that we could work with each other, that we were compatible, and it still took us, 8-9 years before we did this.
Sure.
This Facebook Live together, and we had, if you remember, we were going to do the November event.
What was the name?
Coffee and Conversation or something like that.
I think it was Conversations Over Coffee. I think. I'm not 100% positive.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've still got sheets of the paper at my office. I'll have to look it up. I use a scrap paper now. But even then, so it takes time. And success often comes to people that do the follow-up. That's why having a CRM system and knowing who you called and what you talked about and having reminders is really critical to that follow-up. You can't just, I haven't talked to John in 3 years. That's not as effective as, it's been 9 weeks. I really should call them up and just see what's going on. And
Sure.
I think that's one of the things that I didn't recognize about business when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. I really thought, you meet them, you greet them, they buy from you.
Well, a lot of our experience, right, is when you think of a retail store,
Mm-hmm.
they don't necessarily have to do a lot of follow-up. They do it through branding, which we talked about all last month. Like you walk in the store and there are people who know what they need. They've already done some work to figure out, well, where could I find it? And where's a store that I trust? Okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go in and buy it. And so much of our experience is we know someone, we go in and we purchase, or we go in and look and see, like, what's the price? What are the models? What are all the options that I have to consider? And then I walk away and maybe I come back later. And so I think that we don't think about, that's in a retail setting. And we don't think about all of the follow-up that they do through different means to make sure that we are aware of what's going on. And if you think about it today, pretty much all you have to do is, I think, and some people definitely believe, if you say something near your phone, Facebook is going to follow up with you with information about whatever it is you just talked about. or someone that you.
That's an allegation that Tom is making that I cannot confirm. At Facebook, if you hear this, please do not send us a cease and desist order. That was Tom, not me.
Yeah, I'll take full responsibility for that.
Okay.
Well, and if, the same type of thing, if you know that Bob just froze. Oh, now you're back. I don't know if that was you or me. Woo, you just were stuck. That's all right.
I think it may have been you.
Oh, interesting. Well, so anyhow, so that's our experience with purchasing, right?
We talked about Facebook, and next thing you know, one of us froze. I'm just saying.
That's an interesting.
They're there.
So maybe they are secretly watching us all the time to get all our tips and feedbacks, and they were like, maybe we need to pause this for just a second.
We are using their platform, so it's not really that hard for them to watch us.
Well,
we're kind of feeding it to them.
And how many millions of other people could they potentially be watching it now? Anyhow, so I think that when you are doing business in a different way, when you're working with a type of service rather than a product, it's a little different. Or rather, if you're dealing with someone who doesn't necessarily have a big retail presence, that you know what they have, but you need to go out and find someone who's going to take down a tree for you, someone who's going to provide you legal services, somebody who is going to be your accountant or your bookkeeper. You need to sort of find out more, because they are not likely, especially, and I think this is why it's important for small business owners and entrepreneurs, is that
also organizations, nonprofit organizations.
Correct. Absolutely. Is that people aren't aware. People aren't as aware because you're not spending millions and millions of dollars or even thousands of dollars to promote and market what you do or who you are. And so I think for most of us it's a big piece of making sure those people you come in contact with have an understanding of who you are and what you've done. And I think so often we assume, because of a meeting or because I handed you a business card, that you have a clear picture of exactly what I do and how I do it.
And I think the other thing about the follow-up that makes it so important is, in the follow-up, you can go a lot deeper than you can when you're giving a 30-second spiel at a networking event, or you're just at a conference and you're just like, I have a company that does this. It's a lot different when you can get on the phone with someone or get on Zoom or meet them face to face and just start to talk, not about business as much, just about who you are and what you're trying to do. And, I always like to ask the question, how did you end up doing this? And the stories you hear from people about how they get to where they are is really fascinating.
Sure.
It makes it make more sense. And it also, for me, really deepens the connection.
Right.
And, you've been doing what you're doing. You came into your nonprofit work from seeing a need and a legitimate concern for that industry and how that can be more successful. And that's what led you to build your business in a way that just hearing, hi, I'm Tom Brush. I help nonprofits with fundraising and organizational. So that's all great. I'm not saying that's bad, but that doesn't get as deeply as when you say, I was working with organizations. I kept seeing these stumbling blocks, and the executive director didn't have someone to talk to. And I realized I was blessed in my career to have people I could talk to, but not everyone's as blessed. Okay, suddenly it's like, whoa, it becomes bigger than just advancement designs. Like, this guy's on a mission. And I think that's where follow-up really matters, is when you start to realize that this isn't just the job, but this is a mission to them. And I like to work with people who are committed to their mission. You were giving me a hard time about being up early this morning and working with one of my clients, but you have to show that commitment. You have to be focused on what's important. And I think that's where the follow-up really starts to get at it. I find I'm looking for character. There are plenty of people that do what each of us do, but how many people have the character? How many, are they the people that you want to introduce your family and friends to? Or is it just someone like, hey, if you see me at a conference, just don't come over and talk to me. And we all have those people, right?
Sure. Well, and I think it's part of that you don't build the know, like, and trust that is so important in business relationships from one interaction. Likely. I mean, unless you're spending a significant amount of time with that person, you only are getting a small snapshot. And so I think that, the follow-up allows us to to go from knowing, maybe a little bit of liking, to now how do you build that trust? Because trust isn't created in just a short amount of time. If I'm going to share your information or buy your services or share your information with someone that's important to me, I pretty much want to make sure I have some trust that I know how you're going to service them, and more than just the service you provide them, but how are you going to treat them as a client or as a customer. And I think that that is so hard to do in one interaction.
We also see it in hiring. If you're with an organization, you're hiring people. It used to be it was one interview and you're hired, but I'm talking to people now in a job market that's really employee focused, where they're having 3, 4, 5 interviews. And they're not just "Hi, I'm Bob" interviews. They're like substantive. Tell us about you. Where are you philosophically? And that's not at every level of job. At entry level jobs, it's
No.
not that way. But more and more entry level jobs, they're having you meet with one person, then a second person, just so you can get, does this person pass the sniff test? And I think it's the same thing. We want to be safe and secure in our decision making, and you can't do that quickly. And through Zoom, I think Zoom really gives us the ability to have more of those types of discussions with people. And you were saying at the beginning, people getting together in person. I've found that I can do what I do in person through Zoom pretty easily. As long as
Sure.
I can look the person in the eye, that's the real key to me. And in this time when, travel where we are in Baltimore, Washington area, it can be tricky. I'm happy to do Zoom calls. I can get a
No.
lot more of those in, and I can do a lot more follow-up if I do a couple of Zoom calls a day, rather than, remember before COVID, where I don't know about you, but I had some days where I had 4 or 5 cups of coffee because I was at 4 or 5 different coffee shops.
Right.
And it would be like, okay, I can't take any more coffee. Or you'd be at the Panera at 8:30, and then you'd be back there at 11:30, and the employee would come around and go, "Oh, you're back."
Or you're still here. Oh, I thought you left. I guess you're still here.
No, I'm here for the duration. I booked 9 of them.
Yeah, and I think that's part, it's all part of it. As you were talking about the job search, like I had almost a 5-part process when I was hiring a significant position of how do I get to know this person? And what are the pieces that I want to know before I make a significant decision about hiring? And I think that's a key piece of it, is that we only can know so much about a person in a small sample size. And then until you have more samples to really better understand the bigger picture, it's hard for people to, again, really know, like, and trust them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of someone that a lawyer that you and I know, and I thought I knew him pretty well, but then we played golf one day, and that really showed me just the kind of guy he is, in a positive way.
Right.
Because, for 4.5, 5 hours, you're going to have bad shots. You're going to have really good shots. And are you one of those people that goes, "I'm the best player in the world. Oh my God, I'm so amazing"? Or is he more, "Hey, yeah, okay, thanks, appreciate it."
Or maybe
and
they
if
are
they
the
have
best
a
player
bad
in the world.
shot, right? And if they have a bad shot, how do they react to that?
Yeah,
That
'cause it says a
character
lot.
test. Because I think more and more as I get older, I want to work with people who have a character that I'm comfortable with. That's more important to me in some cases than the service they provide, because the service is going to be the service.
Right.
That's the trust, right? Character equals
Absolutely.
trust in my book.
Absolutely.
So Tom, what's your one thing today?
So I'm going to go a little different. We talked about a lot of different things as it relates to why it matters. And I think one of the reasons, and we touched on this a little bit, but I think it's the important piece, is that when we meet someone or connect with someone for the first time, it's hard to really know where they're at. Are they actually present in the moment? We don't know that. We don't know if they've got a million other things going on. They had a family issue, they had a work issue, there's a struggle, or there's a success. So you're only getting a piece of wherever they are at in the moment. And that's usually not enough. So, and why I think people don't always remember the interactions that you've had the first time is because they, you might have been at a networking event, and while you had a 5-minute conversation, you might have been one of 20. And they go back and they look at this, like, which person was this? And how do I know them? And so I think the key about it is we are continuing to provide more knowledge, experience, and perspective with the follow-up that we provide. So what they see in us as real is changed every time we have an interaction, right? It's enhanced, hopefully.
We hope.
Correct. I mean, it might not be. We might do something that, and again, they may be in a space where something that we do has a different impact on that. And even though to us, it didn't seem like it was something that might not have been as positive as possible, they were just in a space where it didn't matter what we said. That was it. So the opportunity for us when we follow up is that we give more and more chances to provide more and more of that knowledge, experience, and perspective. So what they see or what they believe is real within that relationship is changed and modified and can be usually enhanced. Sometimes not always the case. So what's your one thing?
I think my one thing runs along the same lines, but I would say as we talk about follow-up, think about it from a long game, not a short game. We tend to think of, I called them one time and they said they weren't interested. I'm making calls this week to people I've talked to 8, 10, 12 times. When the time is right, it'll be right. And to me, if they answer the phone or answer the text, until they tell me, hey, really, let go, stop, I keep following up. And I don't follow up and go, hey, it's Bob, want to be coached? It's
Right.
more like, hey, it's Bob, just checking in. What's going on? How's your summer been so far? Do you have plans in August? That's one of the reasons why I think it's great we're doing this in August, because we're at this time where there's so much to talk about. People are outside, they do things on the weekends.
Right.
And so you have this, hey, what have you been up to? Oh, my kids went to camp and we drove up to Minnesota to pick them up and all that. And it's easy to talk to people in a way that I find in January and February when we're all cooped up inside and, the best you guys, so you think it's going to snow this week? So I like summer. I like August as a great follow-up month. Plus, people tend to be more relaxed in August. The pace of business is slower.
Sure.
And I think that, to me, that's why it's great that we're talking about follow-up now, because we've got this unique window of August that even if you're taking a week off for vacation, throw a call in the days leading up to the vacation and reward yourself with, okay, I did all those follow-ups. Because I find if I do 10 follow-up calls, usually leads to business with one or two of the people, one way or another.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's it's a good time. It's like one of those months that, the challenge is, like you said, people might be on vacation, so you may not reach them. And I think the fact that you were at least thinking of them and did outreach will go a long way with them as they come back and start to re-engage themselves back into what they're trying to do. All right, everyone. So thanks for listening to us today where we talked about follow-up. If you have one thing that you would like to share about why you believe follow-up matters, please feel free to put it in the comments, because we know that while what Bob and I will share offers value, we also know that there are others out there who are looking for something different and a different message today. And your message might be the exact one that they were looking for. So please feel free to put it out there in the world, in the comments, or you can share it inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If you're not yet a member, please feel free to join. We'd love to have you. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and it is a private group. So all you have to do to join, though, is ask, and then tell us why you are a renegade. And you can become a part of our growing community of business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, organizational managers, trying to help others take their own next step along their own unique pathway to success. So we hope Can I
add one thing, Tom?
Of course.
If you would like to get a copy of our newsletter, where I'm going to talk today about the role of MTV in business and entrepreneurship, DM me, send me a direct message with your email address. I will add you to the list and make sure you get a copy of it. You don't want to miss that.
Because we all want to. It's funny. There are probably some people who are like, "Oh, I thought MTV's been around for forever." And then there are those of us who remember when MTV started.
Nothing. I heard that the other day, and nothing has made me feel older. 40 years for MTV. Wow.
Yeah, crazy. All right, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope that you have a great rest of the day. Maybe you'll do some follow-up that'll lead to some positive things as you kick off the month of August and our month talking about how we can rekindle relationships. If you're struggling with that, one of the things that we are going to really focus on this month is talking to people about how they can kickstart after Labor Day so they can drive through the final quarter and have a great year. Our 90 days to find your renegade way. We'll be talking a little bit about that and kicking off our next group in Labor Day. You can start anytime, but we will definitely have a focused effort around how do you make that last quarter the best quarter that you can have. So here is some further information about the Find Your Way. Geez, I'm saying that, and I don't know that we have a thing on that. Do we have a thing on that? Do we have a video on that, Bob?
No, we don't.
Sorry about that.
I was just thinking we need one.
We need one. You can, if you want to get started right now, you can always join our Renegade Success Network. And so here's some further information about the Renegade Success Network. Have a great day, everyone. And we will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for our next edition of today's Antidote, or we'll see you inside the Facebook group. Take care. No clothes. There you go. And happy birthday again, Frank.
Yeah, Frank. Enjoy.
If you listened all the way to the end.
Oh, he did.
Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders. Monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.